Valerie. How are you? It's good to see you. All right, hello everyone. If you wouldn't mind taking your seats, we'll get things rolling, please. We should just. Can I just make a note? If you are drinking alcohol, you have to be seated to drink alcohol. It's the COVID rules. I'm really sorry about that. All right, thank you everyone for taking your seat. We're here for a special event, as we all know. I'm sure you got the invite the same as I did. I was very pleased when Brad recommended that I MC tonight because it comes with a big check. And I've seen that check actually. Yeah. Oh, Arnie K recommended that I do that. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Arnie K. For those who don't know me, I'm Professor Peter Riddell. I work here at the University of Canberra as a Pro Vice Chancellor Indigenous. Brad was in my job for 6 weeks and and I think he did a fantastic job because the VC said he did a great job. My supervisor, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Research, said Brad did a fantastic job, but not that great. So I'm assuming that I still have some currency in the role, Brad, but I do thank you for doing that role for that time that I was away. I just want to acknowledge a few VPs, and then I'll ask a couple of housekeeping rules, and I'll introduce Richie to do the welcome to country tonight. But first tonight, I just want to acknowledge our VPs in the room, which is Associate Professor Brad Moggridge, who we're here for tonight. His brother Tim Moggridge, he said he's going to come and do a PhD at some stage as well, so that's good news. No pressure. Arnie K. Price as our VIP and champion for Indigenous STEM, and also the chair of the judging panel, Mary Mulcahy, who we'll meet in a minute. Mary's actually head of CSR education programs, but I'm sure she'll elaborate a little bit more on that later on. Our Chancellor, Professor Tom Kalmer, Anna Maria Arboria. Is she here tonight? Oh, hello. How are you? Welcome. I didn't get to say hello, so I just wanted to acknowledge that you're here as well. Professor Lee Sullivan, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Innovation here at the University of Canberra, and Ross Thompson, a co-conspirator. Ross and I both supervise Brad. I don't know if I supervise too much, but Ross does all the hard work. So tonight, just some. No, that is true. He knows that. I won't take credit for things I don't do anymore. I used to once. Tonight, just a few housekeeping rules. Just in terms of COVID, if you're in the same household, it's okay to be close, but if you're not, 1.5 metres. I think the 2 square metre rule applies now, which in terms of distance around in terms of floor space, but we still have to remain 1.5 metres apart. If you are consuming alcohol, it is important that you are seated. If you don't know the bathrooms, just so you know, the bathrooms are through that door, up the back a little bit, and you'll find the little arrows that'll point you that way. And of course, if there's any emergency tonight, we've got exits that way and exits out the front here. All right, without any further ado, I'm going to invite Richie Allen. Richie runs a well-known Ngunnawal Gamilaroi man who manages his own company called the Traditional Owner Corporation. Look, Richie and I had the great pleasure this afternoon of walking the university campus with both our Vice Chancellor and the Swiss Ambassador, looking at all the Ngunnawal plants, and Richie had spent a lot of time with Adam's ship actually planning those. Anyway, I just wanted to acknowledge the work that you did this afternoon for us, Richie. I really appreciate that. So without further ado, Richie, please.
Thanks, Peter. Always a privilege to get up and do a welcome to country That I'm not an elder, but like I said, I'm one that's coming through as a knowledge elder, that I've spent the last 20 years learning all my Ngunnawal knowledge of Auntie Violet. And I take privilege in doing the welcome to country like that. I didn't want to, but Brad kept hassling me, ringing me like that. And eventually you got Karen to ring me like that, and it made it even worse. So how could you say no there? So I'd also like to acknowledge the distinguished guests today. And STEM is such an important thing because we have, I suppose, one of the best STEM people, like I said, is an Aboriginal man that takes pride in a lot of things that we have today. David Unipon was a massive STEM person and a great inventor as well. And a lot of people, we don't often talk about David Unipon, but in a lot of things we do, like I said, we can thank David and what he's done. But that's not about David tonight. It's about, first of all, I'd like to pay my respects to the Ngunnawal ancestors. It's their footprints that we leave behind, that the great scientists follow each and every day of our lives. Hard to find those footprints that have been here for over 65,000 years, but our Indigenous brothers and sisters look out for those footprints and ensure those footprints are alive each and every day of our lives, because they're the safe passages through this beautiful country that we need to follow, because, like I said, we are the oldest continuing culture in the world. I'd also like to pay my respects to the Ngunnawal elders, past, present, and the next knowledge holders like myself as well. And pay our respects to other brothers and sisters that are here tonight, and also the other cultures that come here to support as well. It's important we do that because that's the part of reconciliation. In the words of my mum, Yan Yen Yagur Nanadara, Yalamandi, Brad Moggridge and the others, Nadyang Yaramulan. Hello and good evening from Ngunnawal country and welcome. Brad Moggridge and the other STEM people is the water dreaming, which is what Brad is. And I acknowledge that, and acknowledge the other STEM people and congratulate you on the awards, because it is such an important that the next generation follow the footsteps of the previous generation and acknowledge that we are the oldest continuing culture in the world. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Rich, for that. Welcome to country acknowledgement. Look, fantastic. If I can just take one moment, what I didn't want to do was actually, I want to acknowledge the most important VIP in the room tonight, and that's Mrs. Karen Moggridge. Yep. I know as I suppose as males and people in great opportunities, there's always someone super special behind you, keeping the fire going at night and making sure the kids are fed and all those important things, because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be successful. So I just want to acknowledge Karen as the most important VIP in the room tonight. I'm going to introduce Mary now. So Mary McKay, we've had a fair bit to do with each other over the years with the STEM education, the Girls Academy and the BHP Foundation. I've been very lucky to work with CSIRO, and I believe I'm an associate of CSIRO. Is that correct, Mary? Yeah, that's right. Fantastic. Just making sure. Yeah. She's upset why I don't respond, but she's been sent it to my CSIRO email address. I didn't even know I had one, but there you go. Look, so Mary's the outgoing director of CSIRO Education and Outreach, and for more than 5 years, Mary has led a team of 85 people around the country to deliver high-quality services, high-quality science, technology and engineering and mass education and engagement programs for teachers, students and for the community. In this role, Mary was an integral part of the Indigenous STEM education project and has presented at many of the unique awards events that has happened around Australia. And prior to this, Mary held very senior communication roles in CSIRO and universities, including leading national teams responsible for communicating the outcomes of CSIRO's energy, water and research programs. So I'd like to welcome Mary to the stage.
You can tell this was rehearsed. I was supposed to read off those notes, so I'll go back to my phone. Thank you, Peter. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting today, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, and to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to any Aboriginal people who are here tonight. 6 years ago, the BHP Foundation backed their commitment to improving science, technology, engineering and mathematics outcomes for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people with a contribution of $28 million to a 5-year program. The contribution was made to CSIRO and enabled the development of 6 programs which ran across Australia with an aim to increase the participation, aspiration and achievement of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in STEM studies and career fields, including those STEM subjects I mentioned before. Through the Indigenous STEM Awards program, we aim to recognise and promote the amazing work of today's Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander STEM leaders with the hope of inspiring tomorrow's future STEM leaders. The winners of the Indigenous STEM Awards were formally announced on the 4th of February in Melbourne this year, just before COVID. That's changed a few things in the way that we do things. Today we've gathered on Ngunnawal country here at the University of Canberra to celebrate the career and achievements of Brad, who's the winner of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander STEM Professional Career Achievement Award. Congratulations, Brad. So this award recognises people who've made significant contribution to key STEM initiatives and who demonstrate suitability and capacity to act as role models for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students. The Career Achievement Award recognises a long and sustained contribution and leadership. Bradley Moggridge, never heard you called Bradley before, Brad, is a proud Murray man from the Kamilaroi Nation with over 20 years' experience in Aboriginal engagement, water and environmental science, having worked in applied research, policy development, legislative reviews and project management. He is currently the Associate Professor for Indigenous Water Science and part-time PhD student at the University of Canberra, which, as you know, Peter's already mentioned. And he was recently the Indigenous Liaison Officer for the Threatened Species Recovery Hub under NESP, and recently acted for a period as the Pro-Vice-Chancellor, which Peter has also mentioned. He holds a Master of Science in Hydrogeology and Groundwater Management from UTS, which is where I actually met Brad, and we were just trying to work out whether that was 2004, 2005 or 2006, but for me it's probably pushing turn of the century. Okay, a long time ago. And he also has a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science from ACU, and he's a Fellow of the Peter Cullen Trust and International Water Leadership Program. He was honoured in 2019 with the ACT Tall Poppy Award for Science, the ACT NAIDOC Scholar of the Year, and received the inaugural Academy of Science 2019 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Travel Award, which I think he has to thank Anne-Marie for. So he's currently member of the Federal Environment Department's Indigenous National Water Initiative Subcommittee. He's on the Technical Committee Alliance for Water Stewardship, AWS Global Standards. He's on the expert group for the United Nations Transboundary Water Allocation Handbook, the research project steering group of the New South Wales Environmental Trust Eucalypt dieback, that was from 2020 to 2024. And here's the cause, I'm not sure what CAWS stands for, CSIRO co-lead on Indigenous engagement for the CEWO MER Flow project. So a very impressive list of achievements, Brad. Brad hopes to encourage future Indigenous generations to pursue interest in science, promote his ancestors' knowledge of water and mentor emerging Indigenous scientists. Congratulations, Brad.
Thank you, Mary. That's a huge achievement, Brad, by the way. Yes. Congratulations. Look, I've got the great pleasure now to introducing someone who was a great mentor to me in my early career. When I was, if I can talk out of school. We've got friends, all friends here tonight. So Arnie Kay, when I became the director of the centre at ANU, Arnie Kay was over here, and I would always come and ask her, "What do I do next? What do I do next?" And she would always guide me about, what I could do. But of course, one of the things I did learn, the context between the ANU and the University of Canberra was quite different. UC was a much more collaborative institution where ANU probably wasn't. I didn't enjoy the collaborative environment that Annie Kay did while she was here. So I want to acknowledge Annie Kay's advice and support that she's provided me over the years. But now I get to introduce her formally. So Annie Kay trained initially as a primary school teacher while her own children were quite young. After a period of a member of the National Aboriginal Education Committee, she joined the NAEC Secretariat as its executive officer. For those who came along to the Ngunnawal lecture this year, we heard from Linda Burney, and of course Linda was part of those early days that she was talking about. This led to the position within the Commonwealth, New South Wales Government and ACT education departments, as well as study to gain a Master's and a PhD, followed by employment in the tertiary sector. As a teacher, educator, Dr. Price went on to participate in the CARA's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Education Advisory Group and AITSL's Teacher Education Expert Committee, and to edit several undergraduate texts with Cambridge University Press. She was named a member of the Order of Australia in 2019, and as a previous ACT Senior Australian of the Year, she is privileged to be included in the ACT Women's Honours Roll. One of her aims in her life was to see Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures highlighted within the Australian curriculum, particularly science. And in 2019, this was achieved with the publication of by CARA's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander content elaboration and teacher background information for years foundation to year 10. Dr. Price is an impassioned supporter and patron of the Indigenous STEM Awards and gains exceptional enjoyment from her work and what she does and as a member of the CSIRO team. So please join me in welcoming Annie Kay.
Thank you so much, Peter, and thank you, Richie, for your very warm welcome. It's always a pleasure for incomers like me, to be encouraged to leave our footprints on your land. So thank you for that. So you've heard from Mary about the Indigenous STEM project. But I'd really like to emphasise how important it is that when we present these awards, that we do it with family and friends and community, because we feel that then perhaps they're not so much individual awards. And Peter, you touched on it, that there's always someone there with you. So it's important that family and friends and colleagues are around when we do this, to share that. So, because it's a celebration of community and family as well. And in previous years, as Mary mentioned, and incidentally, Mary and I were in the middle of a desert in Western Australia when, for some reason, something came up about Tasmania, and we found that we kind of lived about a block from each other. Quite a while before. So naturally, we get on quite well, and we have presented quite a few awards together. But in previous years, we have gone to those communities, to those schools, presented the awards, with the whole family, with the whole community there. But this year, it's been, as we all know, it's been a bit of a different year. We got to go to Darwin in March and present Ricky Bruce with her award. She's an engineer. She was about 8.5 months pregnant at the time and had 3 other kids, and still engineering. And then we were able to go to Thuringowa State High School at Townsville and present them with their school award. And on the way home, we were told we weren't to travel anymore. So all the other awards then have been virtual. Last Friday, we presented the award to Jamie Graham in Tasmania at a presentation that was attended by, about 80 people on Zoom, WebEx, because it was Saro. So we're really, I think we're really fortunate that we were able to have your family, friends, colleagues here tonight. But at this point, and you've already stolen this. I thought I was the only one. Karen, you did an absolutely brilliant job. I met Brad, I suppose, about 5 years ago here in UC in the coffee shop, and I ran into him again last year, August, I think, and said, this STEM awards are being advertised, would you consider putting in an application? And Karen certainly got to work and put in a really, really good application. Great referees, and when I saw this, I was so immensely, overwhelmed, I think. So, well done, both of you. Larry Marshall said on Monday that I'm an honorary member of this Indigenous STEM education team. But I tell you what, the honour, and the privilege has been all mine. For the last several years, seeing all those applications that come in from absolutely brilliant Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander scientists, technologists, engineers and mathematicians. From the little ones, right through to the Brad ones. So it's just been a wonderful experience, but it's not about me. Not about me, but it's never easy. Being on the judging panel, as you'd all know, it's not easy. But it's rewarding and a real privilege to read each person's nomination. So Brad, we love what you've done, we love what you do, and we love what you're going to do. And you thoroughly deserve this award, and our congratulations. And I think Mary would like to perhaps do something. If you'd like to come up, Brad. For an awful moment there, I thought I got his name wrong.
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to shake your hand, but congratulations, Brad. Yeah, we're elbow.
And I'd really like to give you that.
Yeah. Look at that.
Well done. I'll mind it for you if you like.
That's cool. Like Happy Gilmore when he used to get those checks for winning on the golf tour. Bit higher. Yaman Indeu, Brad Moggridge in Gaia, Kamilaroi Māori in Gaia, Darwin Nale Ngunnawal in Gaia, Winin Gailana. Wayama, Woonongay, Ingiani, Ganu, Ngunnawal, Garbaninda. That's it. Hello to you all in Kamilaroi language. And I'm Brad Moggridge. I'm a Kamilaroi man. I acknowledge this country, Ngunnawal country, and thank Richie for that beautiful welcome. I did pester him a lot because I wanted him to do it. I know there are protocols, but I wanted you to do it, brother. With respect, and we will respect the elders, all of them. And Garbaninda is good you, which is like thank you. Again, thanks Richie. Thank the sponsors, BHB Foundation and CSRO for coordinating it. I handpicked the VIPs, which was cool. I had a say in that. And so I really wanted to invite people that were supporters and have been through my career, and family and friends that have travelled. I know people have come from Sydney and the South Coast, and obviously a lot of Canberra locals. Thank Pete for volunteering or being asked or being demanded to MC, thank you. And also Ross for being, and also for them being some of the toughest supervisors I've ever had. They never let me go anywhere. And, you know, like, I've got Vice-Chancellors sitting in front of me, I've got the Chancellor sitting in front of me, and Pro-Vice-Chancellors and CEOs of organisations, and, you know, it's pretty special to have these people in the room with me. And obviously Jeff, he's probably watching online from CSIRO. Thanks for doing all the organising. And we're originally going to do this at the Academy of Science back in probably May, I think it was, April or May. But something happened. Yeah, we couldn't do those sort of things anymore. And then obviously there was a hailstorm which destroyed part of the Shine Dome of the Academy, and so we couldn't really have that there. So when things started opening up, I thought this was an opportunity to have something again. And obviously I was tired of Zoom. I've done probably 30 Zooms, like presentations, but then there's also the meetings that go on top of that for Zooms and WebEx and Teams and all those other platforms. So it's been a challenging year for everyone, no doubt. But I just wanted to see people. And with CSIRO paying, I wanted you to drink their beer as well. I wanted to also acknowledge the other winners for the STEM Awards for 2019-20, and also the previous winners. They're an unbelievable mob, and it's an honour to be listed with those people on the honour boards, wherever they are, for these awards. And thanks for the people for live streaming, if you're out there. Hello, and I'm sure you would have loved to have been here. As I said, because it's CSIRO Shout. But you know, I understand that people can't travel, and it's you just can't come for a Thursday evening gallivant. I want to thank Karen, obviously, for nominating me, and the kids for supporting me and calling me an ass prof. Thanks heaps for all that support. I suppose all the sacrifices you make for my career is unbelievable. And through COVID, you know, I think it's been cool to be at home for the last 6 to 8 months, I suppose, whatever it is, and get to know their names again, especially the kids, Kyle and Mary. No, it's been nice, but you know, I emerged from the study after meetings, and you know, a few of those international obligations. Some of you would understand that we don't sit in the Northern Hemisphere, so we're zooming from 8 till 1 a.m. sometimes after a full day's work, but that's part of the game. Obviously, Mum and Dad. Thanks. They told me to go to uni in 1989 instead of having a crack at the golf tour. I'm still at bloody uni. And I'm nearly ready for the seniors tour. But I wouldn't change a thing. I know there's many supporters, and one of the big ones is my bro, Tim. We go all right for Toonie boys. And obviously, lastly, thanks to Uni Canberra for giving me a shot and supporting me through my studies and obviously promoting my research. I've got another 10 pages. No, I'll keep it quick. So science, look, I'm in the S in STEM, and taking this as a career has been exciting, challenging, lonely at times, but you know, sometimes I've questioned why I do it. But I think, as sort of Mary said, that you know, I've had the chance to influence policy, change legislation. I've listened to some of the oldest water stories on the planet. How cool is that? And obviously some of those stories are connected to my bloodline. I've travelled the country and the world to tell my water science story. I've had input to Indigenous knowledge curricula and won a few awards as well along the way. So, but it's not all, hasn't been all rosy, as you'd understand. You know, I think back in my career, and I've had 2 dream jobs I could have retired in. Both of those both of those jobs, one was affected by rain because it broke the drought, so they didn't need water people anymore. And the other one was a toxic ICAC-approved leadership at New South Wales Government, which I thought I could have retired in. Leading the only Aboriginal water unit in the country, but that's the way it goes. That door closed and the Uni Canberra one opened, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Also, walking in two worlds has been always a challenge, but I love that challenge and trying to communicate. And, while I was acting in Pete's role, you sort of explain to people that, you might have a student issue you got to deal with. Next minute, you got the Chancellor walking in saying, "Hey, Brad." You think, "Oh, wow, what do I do now? Do I bow?" Or and so those worlds you walk in are very important. And, you got to build those bridges to commit and obviously tell your story. And I think that's the most fun bit I've had is telling my story my way. And obviously, hopefully people come along and learn from my journey and learn from my story. And, they might go away and then Google something about my country or someone else's country or the country they're living on. That's the exciting bit. If you can influence people, the next generation, the current generation, older generations, I think that's why I do a lot, why I do what I do. Sometimes I wish there was more opportunity. It is growing. I'm hoping for an Indigenous Science Network. I'm pushing for that. I've got some current support from some of the academies, which is fantastic. And obviously, I want to learn from other Indigenous scientists and share our knowledge, share our good stories, and obviously share research that makes a difference. I was always looking for a mentor throughout my career for the last 20-odd years. And soon enough, I had to become the mentor rather than the mentee. So I had to switch very quickly because there was the next generation coming through that needed that advice. And I think if we can influence that way and build a network, and then those leaders will come through. There's a lot of amazing Indigenous people in the STEM area, and also in the, for me, I'm a bit focused on the S in STEM, but that's important. And I think if there's an Indigenous student that enjoys science, maths or engineering or technology, they should go with that. I think back, I was told I probably shouldn't do science and hard maths when I went from year 10 to year 11. But I thought, no, I'm going to do that. I had to do maths in the garden, we called it, which wasn't, I don't think it was maths. It was counting bugs or something, I don't know, I can't remember. But it was, but there, I did geology and I did biology and things like that. I wasn't allowed to do chemistry and physics. And then I get into uni and you're learning complex maths, science, the different sciences, all the basic sciences you've got to get through. First year, chemistry, physics, maths. I had no idea what language that was. First year was tough. I think getting a tutor later on helped. So I got to understand. I even learned what calculus was, first year uni. Didn't learn it through school. So, those sort of things, if someone tells you can't do it and you enjoy it, you need to step away and say, no, I'm going to do that. And, in the end, I think I got ducks of geology, and I don't think I even studied for that. I just loved learning about the earth. But, those sort of things, if you enjoy those things, you've got to take that passion on. I really hope there is a cultural shift in science. The way science thinks, is different to the way traditional knowledge is. But, the way I sort of push traditional knowledge is that, it's thousands of generations of observation of one country that we understand. We know our countries. The elders know their countries. They know their stories. They dance it. They sing it. And I think if that can be seen as a science, which it is, they test country. They get the best out of country. They can serve country. Without that, we wouldn't have the Australia we have now. It's only taken 230 odd years to stuff part of it up. I think we need a 230 odd year recovery plan to fix it up, and Aboriginal people need to be a key part of that. We saw that in the fires. There's a lot of traditional knowledge coming out about the fires. Unfortunately for the water space, the fires took over the the massive fish kills in the lower Darling, so the water aspect got off the front page pretty quick. So we didn't get our time in the sun, you know, and I've sort of been thinking that I'm always hanging for a drought because water will be an issue. Will always be an issue, and I know that's a bit selfish, but that's the only way that we can actually give our water a voice, is when it's in tough times. And I suppose my last thing is to find a way to celebrate our knowledge. We have so much to offer, and I think we can change this country for the better. Gabaninda, thank you.
What a fantastic speech and great recognition, Brad, and congratulations on that. If I can share with you, I met Brad a little while ago, and we were working with Questacon at the time, trying to drum up some interest in STEM education for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And look, I've admired Brad ever since that time, and I knew, I kept an eye on him, and then when the time was right, I struck and said, I got someone I could introduce you to, one of Australia's best water scientists, and he was pretty sceptical. And then he did his due diligence, and turned out that Ross wasn't too bad at all. And the rest is history. Look, very proud of your achievement, Brad. You're absolutely fantastic. Tim, he's given you the baton to actually respond on behalf of the family, so I can welcome Tim Moggridge.
Yama, everyone. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we meet here today, and pay my respects to elders past and present and emerging. I'd like to thank Brother Richie for the welcome. Thank you. Look, on behalf of my family, we come from a really large family. You can hear it in my voice how proud we are. Brad was a first of a generation to complete Year 12, go through uni. Now we have a range of our family members that have followed. It's pretty humbling to see his achievements today. I'm really honoured to be here on behalf of Mum and Dad who's gone, but Mummy couldn't be here. You know, Brad's life has always been about science. I was a tradie. Brad was the scholar. So, which is, you know, we have our journeys in life. I've dipped my toes in the studying thing. I'm sort of halfway through a commerce degree. Well, it's not about me, but anyway. But you know, look, we're here for Brad. It is, you know, an honour for us to see Brad shining on stage in front of everyone. I'd like to thank his UC family that I watch on Twitter and watch from afar on Facebook, and what they do for Brad, and I just want to pay homage to that, so thank you. Look, we hope this legacy and the hard work opens the doors for kids. You know, education is key in this country. I tell a story when I've usually got my emotions under control. I tell kids that when I first went for a job, Mum said, "Don't tell them you're black." Now I say to kids, "Tell them you're black," and that's a generational change, and that's what's proud. Seeing people like Brad. So, thank you to the sponsors for supporting an award like this, and yeah, really honoured to be here, and thank you everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have the check.
Yeah, stay there. Oh. Yeah.
Doing it and getting it in. So impressed. So impressed. You talking to me?
Tom behind you.
Is that Tom Calmer behind me?
Yes.
Oh. Aren't you going to take two for good luck?
All right, so thanks to everyone who's joined us on the live stream today. We want to say thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next event. For everyone else in the room, we have a few more things to go through. So I'm going to ask right now to play. So Joel's got that under control perfectly. We're going to watch a few videos, and then we'll have some official photographs. We may have already done that, but we can do that again. And then we'll share some food and conversation.